Good morning everyone. In last class we discussed heat, temperature and thermal equilibrium. I hope you understand very well. If anybody watches this part directly, please go to my previous part and watch it and come back again so that you will understand very well. Okay, today the topic is the relationship between temperature and kinetic energy. And you know very well what is temperature. The degree of hotness or coldness is called temperature. So now another new term is that is called kinetic energy. So what is kinetic energy? The energy possessed by a body by virtue of its motion. Clear? By virtue of its motion. That means all moving objects possess kinetic energy. To make the kinetic energy concept clear, let us perform a small activity. In this activity, let me take a ball and a duster. Now place the ball near the duster and observe the position of the duster. Is it disturbed? No. The reason is the ball is at rest. That means it is not in the state of motion. Now I am applying some force on the ball so that its state changes from rest to motion and observe. So here the position of the duster is disturbed. The reason is the ball in the motion possesses some energy. That energy is called kinetic energy. From this activity, now you are very clear about what is kinetic energy. Now let me perform another experiment to establish the relationship between temperature and kinetic energy. So for this experiment, the materials required are just very visible, 2 beakers, and this is KMnO4, potassium permanganate particles. And in one beaker we have to take cold water, and in another beaker we have to take the hot water. Let us perform this activity. In the first bowl already we taken cold water, and in second bowl let us take the hot water of equal volume. So this beaker containing cold water, whereas this beaker containing hot water. Now I am taking the potassium permanganate particles. Now a pinch of particles and in hot water. Now observe the motion of the KMnO4 particles in cold beaker and in hot water beaker. Now you observe that here the jiggling of this random motion is called jiggling. The jiggling of the particles is very slower, whereas in the beaker containing hot water, the jiggling of the particles is somewhat fast than the cold water beaker. That means we can say that what is the relationship between temperature and kinetic energy? So the motion of the particles is called kinetic energy. So the kinetic energy of the particles are increased with the temperature. So from this experiment we conclude that the absolute temperature of the particles is directly proportional to the kinetic energy. Let us conclude our activity. So we have taken 2 beakers, one with cold water and another with hot water, and we added potassium permanganate particles so that you can observe random motion of the particles. Let it be called jiggling. So in cold water we observe less jiggling, whereas in hot water we observe more jiggling. That means more motion of the particles is observed with hot water. That means the kinetic energy is increased with the temperature. Thus we conclude as the average kinetic energy of the molecules is directly proportional to the absolute temperature. Okay, rate of, that means rise or fall in temperature, depends on nature of the substance. So for this example, in the previous part we have done a small activity. A piece of wood and a piece of metal is kept in a fridge for same duration of time interval. Let it be 15 minutes. And which is called a metal piece. So we are creating the or supplying the same conditions, but metal piece is colder because that depends on the nature of the substance. Okay, and next the heat content, generally heat content is denoted by the letter Q, and it depends on mass, let it be M, and change in temperature, let it be delta T. So the relationship between mass and delta T and Q, let me derive Q is equal to ms delta T. It is very, very important formula for calculating so many problems related to heat. And here for the derivation, so consider two beakers. So the first beaker containing 250 grams of water and the second beaker containing 1 kg of water. And first of all we have to take the initial temperature, let it be 25 degrees centigrade. So first beaker as well as second beaker both are cold water, just their masses are different, that's why they have same initial temperatures, let's say 25 degrees centigrade. Now our aim, we have to supply heat energy and we have to get the final temperature should be 60 degrees. That means here T1 is equal to 25 degrees centigrade and T2 is equal to 60 degrees centigrade. Therefore the change in temperature delta T equal to T2 minus T1, that equal to 60 minus 25. So 35 degree centigrade. Here less quantity of mass of water is there, whereas here greater quantity of mass of water is there, and we have to rise or we have to change the temperature by same 35 degree centigrade. That's why we have to supply more heat energy for the beaker containing greater quantity of water, whereas we have to supply less amount of heat energy the beaker containing less quantity of water. That means the relation is directly proportional relation. That means Q, that means heat energy absorbed is directly proportional to the mass of the object, where same degree of rise in temperature. Let us say this as equation 1. Let us observe case 2. In case 1 we taken delta T is constant and masses are different, whereas in case 2 here two beakers containing same quantity of water, let it be 250 grams. That means masses are same. Now delta T, so the initial temperature of first beaker water T1 is equal to 25 degrees centigrade. Similarly the second beaker's water temperature is equal to 25 degrees centigrade, and here we have to raise the temperature up to 60 degrees centigrade. That means here delta T is equal to, delta means you know already change or rise or fall, here rise. So rise in temperature is equal to T2 minus T1, that equal to 60 minus 25, that equal to 35 degrees centigrade. That means we have to supply heat energy to rise 35 degrees centigrade in first beaker. Whereas the second beaker, T1 is equal to 25 degrees centigrade and the final temperature should be 80 degrees centigrade. That means delta T in this case is T3 minus T1, that equal to 80 minus 25, that equal to 55 degree centigrade. That means to raise the temperature for both beakers, we have to supply heat energy. But just assume for which beaker we have to supply more heat energy. So here the delta T, rise in temperature, is equal to 35 degrees centigrade, whereas in second beaker of same mass of water, the rise in temperature is equal to 55 degrees centigrade. Yes, you can expect it is a very easy thing that the second beaker needs more heat energy. So what is the relation? This is also as usual directly proportion relation. So here what is constant? Mass is constant. And what is the variation? The rise in temperature. So from this activity we can conclude that Q means already you know heat content or heat absorbed is directly proportional to delta T, change in temperature. So more the change in temperature, then we have to supply more heat energy. That relation is called directly proportional relation. Let it say equation 2. So from equation 1, Q is directly proportional to mass, whereas from equation 2, Q is directly proportional to delta T. So from equation 1 and 2, so let us club these two equations. So here Q is directly proportional to M into delta T. So here proportionality constant is there. So let that proportionality constant depends on the substance. Q is equal to MS delta T, where S is called specific heat or proportionality constant. Finally, we got Q equal to MS delta T. Here, just recollect Q heat content, M mass, and S specific heat, and it depends on the substance. Delta T change in temperature. Now, what is specific heat? So to define it, let it be S equal to Q by M delta T by using mathematical formulas. S is equal to Q by M delta T. So what is a specific heat? Q heat content, M mass, delta T change in temperature. Here in these physical quantities, we can take some quantities as manually. That means we can take as per our wish. So specific heat, it depends on substance. We cannot take as on wish. Q also, it is a constant quantity. But mass M, let take M as 1 gram. And delta T, let's say this is 1 degree centigrade. So among all these physical quantities, mass and delta T can be taken by ourselves. That's why we are taking unit quantities. That means mass equal to 1 gram and delta T equal to 1 degree centigrade. And substitute in this equation, then you will get S is equal to Q by 1 into 1. Therefore, S is equal to Q. What is S? Specific heat. What is Q? Heat content. That means specific heat is also the heat required to raise 1 degree centigrade in 1 gram mass. That is the definition of the specific heat. S is equal to Q. S is specific heat, Q is heat content. So let us define specific heat. The specific heat of a substance is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of unit mass of the substance by 1 degree centigrade. So let us know the units of specific heat. So do you know S is equal to Q by m delta T. So let us CGS units. So Q, heat content, its units are calories, and mass grams, and temperature centigrade. That's why the CGS unit is calorie per gram degree centigrade. That means you have to write like this, calorie per gram degree centigrade. Whereas in SI system, Q, joule per mass kg, and temperature Kelvin. So kg degree Kelvin. Therefore, the SI unit of specific heat is joule per kg degree Kelvin. Today we discussed the relationship between temperature and kinetic energy, and derivation Q is equal to ms delta T, and specific heat and its definition and units. And thank you, and I will cover remaining topics in my next video. And thank you one and all, and keep watching. Thank you.